All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to JumpStart Bling Glean on Saturday nights with me, Angel Baker. I'm so excited about having you to come on with me tonight. Listen, Saturday nights are so sobering. I'm in kind of a somber mood, not because I'm sad, but just because I just been kind of low key all day. I feel fine, but I'm just really thankful to be able to get the opportunity to do this. I've been getting messages about how just the things that I'm sharing, the things that I'm doing, me just allowing myself to be used of God and how it's being impactful. And so that's very sobering. It's very sobering. And so tonight, I just want to invite you to come on with us. Tonight is our Saturday night Bling Glean. All right. And so we are going to be taking the time now to just get the word out. I'm going to sing a little bit while we wait on everyone to come in. But I really hope that tonight you'll hang around. It's our mental health series. We're getting rid of the stigma. We're dealing with it in all facets. We're dealing with it from an African-American standpoint. We're dealing with mental health from a workplace standpoint. We're dealing with mental health from a church standpoint. Hello. We are dealing with mental health from a family, a home front standpoint. We are just dealing with mental health, period. It is so prevalent in our society today. And listen, I believe we need to be educated. I believe we need to be educated and empowered so that when we find ourselves dealing with these things, when we find other people dealing with these things, we know how to help. You ever said, I need some help, and then you find out that the help you had was not good help, right? And you wish you hadn't asked for help at all. We're talking about getting good help. We're talking about finding the necessary resources. We're talking about how to deal with depression, how to deal with anxiety, how to deal with all of these things we face, discouragement, disappointment, some of the deeper issues. We're talking about traumas and betrayal and infidelity and adultery and the things that tend to be very damaging. We're talking about how to deal with when those things get the ups on you. We're talking even, we shared like the 9 different types of depression, and you may be surprised to find that there are that many and more. But it's about getting educated. It's about being proactive, not reactive. So tonight I am inviting you to be a part of the conversation. And what I need you to do, hello, what I need you guys to do for me is just hit that button. Let people know tonight that to join the conversation, be a part. Tonight is such a good topic. I promise you, next week, I'm going to continue it, and I'm going to have a couple of pastors on with me that are going to be answering questions. But guys, this is so prevalent. Tonight is one of those nights that I really hope that you will hang in here and really get in and be a part of this conversation. I also hope that you'll be transparent about your experiences. I'm telling you, it is so necessary. So tonight we're going to have what we call real talk. We already know we do it every Saturday night. So if you are new and you don't know who I am, again, I'm Angel Baker, and we're going to get right into it tonight. I want to sing a little bit. So if you don't mind, I'm going to sing this song, a little bit of it, while we're still waiting for people to come. Hello, guys. Hello. Look at that caption there on your screen. Have you ever asked that question? Does God really heal, or is it my faith? Do I not have enough faith? Well, we're going to talk about that tonight from a mental health standpoint. Does God care about mental health? Does he heal anxiety? Does God heal depression? Does God heal these emotional traumas, these emotional wounds? Does God heal? And if he does, then why hasn't he healed me? Why hasn't he healed my son? Why hasn't he healed my daughter? Why do I still struggle with these emotions? Why do I still deal with these feelings? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. And I guarantee you, hey, Sharonia, hey, Mom. Thank you guys for coming on. I guarantee you, if you've never been there in your life, just keep living. You will at some point in your life experience it. Okay? So we're just going to get the word out here. We are going to get this word out, and what I want to do here is I want to just send that out. So let's just sit in this moment right here. Just enjoy that music. Oh Lord, glory to your name. That's what we're singing tonight, just to saturate the atmosphere. Oh Lord, for your name is great and greatly to be praised. We sing glory to your name. Oh Lord, come on in, welcome, welcome, welcome. Glory to your name. Oh Lord. Hey, Miss Sherry, come on in, guys. For your name is great and greatly to be praised. Guys, listen, I need your help tonight. Will you share? Will you take a moment just to share this video, to invite friends, let them know tonight to be a part of the conversation? I'm inviting you all to be a part of this conversation tonight, because I know you have all asked that question. Does God really heal? Does God really care about this? Because I'm not healed yet. I'm not free yet. I don't feel better yet. Have you ever honestly asked that question? If you have, put it in the comments. We're going to talk real tonight. I hope you will really just be a part of this conversation. I really do. I hope you'll be a part of this. So thank you, Miss Sherry. I see you shared. Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I see you. I see you. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. We're going to get started in just a moment. I just want to give time, make sure people are on, make sure they've gotten those notifications. Sometimes I just jump right in and I realize that people haven't had a chance, to really get those notifications. So we're going to wait just a moment. Guys, I am just so thankful to just have you on with me. I really am. Okay. So y'all come on in. Just enjoy the music. Hang out with me just for a moment. Hang out with me. For your name is great and greatly to be praised. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, we sing glory to your name. Yes, we do. Hallelujah. Oh, we sing honor to your name. Oh, we exalt your name, God. We lift your name, Lord. Hallelujah. For your name is great and greatly to be praised. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. For your name is great. That's what we're singing tonight. And greatly to be praised. Oh, for your name is great and greatly to be praised. Hallelujah. Come on and be a part of the conversation tonight, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Listen, my name is Angel Baker. I am the CEO and founder of the Dream Builders Institute and Foundation. I am also the owner of JumpStart Your Bling with Angel. And I sell $5 jewelry, independent consultant for Paparazzi. Tonight, though, we're not even focusing on jewelry. Tonight is our Bling and Glean on Saturday nights. And tonight, we're still continuing our series on mental health. I pray the Lord draws who he wants to be a part tonight. If that's you, welcome. Come on in. Listen, I'm also going to do something different tonight. I'm going to ask you at the end of the broadcast. I'm going to give you a chance to win a free piece. I had a person today be so generous, and they wanted to donate actually 2 free pieces. So I'm going to be giving away 1 or 2 of those tonight. All right. And I want you to be a part. So what that means is maybe you want to write some notes down. Maybe you want to take some notes down and really write some things down that you think might be helpful, because in the end, I may come back and ask a few questions just to give you a chance to win a free piece tonight. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. We are going to go ahead and get into it. All right. So, guys, I just want to say thank you again. I appreciate you. Let's get right into it. This topic is really real here. And it just deals with, it says, does God really heal, or do I not have enough faith? I've asked this a couple of times already. I've already asked this question a couple of times, but have you ever asked that question? Does God really heal? Or do I not have enough faith? Does he really care about where I am? Does he really care about the fact that I've prayed about this sickness? I've prayed about this illness. I've prayed about my son. I've prayed about my daughter. I've prayed the Lord heal my husband. I pray the Lord let my husband stop doing this. My wife stop doing this. I've prayed about it many, many, many times. Does the Lord see my sadness? Does he see my discouragement? Does he see my pain? Does he see the darkness in my soul? Does he care? Why has he not healed me? Why has he not healed me? That's what we're going to deal with tonight. So I'm inviting you to be a part of this conversation. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get into it. Number one, the first thing we need to remember is that God does not owe us any explanation. Now that's kind of tough. It's tough to hear, but it's really true. God does not really owe us any explanation. But here's the thing. He does care, okay? He does care about where we are. But as for explaining where we are and why we are where we are, he really doesn't owe us any explanation. That's where your faith comes in to say, Lord, I really don't understand this, but I'm going to have to trust you. That's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. So that's the first thing I want to put in your spirit tonight. God does not owe us any explanation. Now, that brings me to my second thing. I want you to hear this tonight. Okay? Since God does not owe us any explanation, here's what we need to remember. That means that we don't want to put words in God's mouth. Okay. Have you ever been talking to somebody and they were dealing with something or going through something, right? And then you found yourself trying to help them, trying to give them advice, and you start trying to analyze and saying, well, maybe it's because of this, or maybe it's because of that, or maybe God's trying to show you this or trying to teach you that. Oftentimes, sometimes we're getting over into a territory that really is not ours. We're in a lane we don't belong in. Sometimes there is no explanation, and the Lord just needs us to trust him. But sometimes even pastors and leaders get in trouble because they start trying to size up why people are going through this. Just like in the Bible, we've seen several instances where he said, well, you must have sinned. Who sinned? God said nobody sinned. It was so that the glory of God may be revealed. So that the glory of God may be revealed, so that the people can see a miracle and their faith be heightened, their faith be increased. So here's the thing. When we get into trying to explain, we get into trying to offer explanation, when we get into these things and we start trying to do that and make sense of everything, we get into a place of really trying to play God. And the bottom line is you can cause people to be deterred. You can cause people to be misled. You say, no, I've never done that. Well, let me just put it in simple terms like this. Have you ever told someone this? Have you ever said to them, well, maybe God hasn't done this thing, whatever it is you were praying about, because you don't have enough faith? Maybe God didn't heal your mother. Maybe God didn't heal your son. Maybe God hasn't saved your husband yet. Maybe God hasn't delivered your child yet because you don't have enough faith. Have you ever said that to somebody else? You just got to believe. You just got to believe in that. And then the person starts thinking that, well, it hasn't happened yet because it's on my account. But that's not always the case. It's not always the faith. Listen, we have the fathers of faith, Paul, and all of these in the Bible that are a great cloud of witnesses, guys, that they prayed and they believed, and some of them were still crucified upside down. Some of them were still murdered. Some of them still died of illness. Some of them, it says Paul had a thorn in his flesh that he prayed to God about 3 times. Nevertheless, the Lord told him, my grace is sufficient. You know what that means? It means that the Lord heard him. He empathized with him, but he said, you know what, Paul, this is your lot. This is for the glory of God. We don't know why. We don't know why. Hey, Risa, we don't know why some people get healed and some don't. Some people get free and some don't. Some people go through a prayer line and they lift up their hands and they say, turn around 3 times. Hey, come on, it's going to come tonight. You're going to wake up tomorrow and that thing's going to be gone. You're not going to want to smoke again. You're not going to want to, call that person again. You're going to walk away from that relationship and all of that. Meanwhile, the person leaves there with this faith, and it's so beautiful. Just the faith of a child believing that this was it. This was it. Only to go home and still struggle. Only to go home and still suffer. Only to go home and deal with unbelief. Only to go home and deal with doubt. What does that say to you? The healing and the manifestation of healing does not always look the same for everybody. When God said you're healed, you're healed. Now, will your circumstance look like it all the time? Will your ducks all be in a row all the time? If God told you you're debt free, guess what? He meant it when he said it. It was already manifest. You have to understand God is looking at the end from the beginning. So he already knows our ending, Alpha and Omega, right? He already knows our ending. But here's the thing. You're still in the realm of flesh. You're still in the realm of time, and God doesn't necessarily operate in chronos time, which is the chronological time that we live by our calendar. God operates in kairos, basically. Okay, it's that prophetic, it's that due season time. And so this is why when we look at things and we say, but they said it was going to happen, they said I was healed, they said that you're going to go home tonight and your husband, he's going to get saved, and God told me to tell you that your troubles are over. Anybody ever experience that? I want y'all to get in these comments and talk to me tonight, okay? Because I know that I'm talking very real to you. Have you ever heard that? Have you ever been told that? Have you ever experienced that? Only to come home and seemingly see the same thing. Now, I know the Bible says, while we look not at the things that are seen, because the things that are seen are temporal, right? But we looked at the things that are not seen, for the things that are not seen are eternal, right? We understand that. That has to do with our faith. That has to do with that has to do with basically predestination and what God has already willed to happen. Okay, we understand that. We get that. But we have all been there where somebody had said something to us. Somebody has told us something, promised us something. Somebody has said something to us, and we find ourselves thinking, is it that God just hasn't healed me, or is it my faith? Is it that I don't have enough faith? Is it that I don't? Because now we're going to deal with that. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Have you ever said that? Well, my faith is not strong enough, and that's why God hasn't answered my prayer. Have you ever said that? Maybe my faith is not strong enough. Maybe I don't pray enough. Maybe I don't read enough. Maybe it's because of all the things I've done in my past. Maybe it's because of what I did to so and so and so and so and so and so. And maybe it's because I missed Sunday school for the last 5 weeks. Okay, I wouldn't advise it, but it does happen. Okay, maybe because I've been out of church for a few years, and maybe because I've not been among the body and I kind of fallen away. Or maybe that's why God hasn't done this thing. There again, we're all in God's business. There are people that believe God, they serve God, they honor God, they put the scriptures on their bathroom mirror, they quote the scriptures, and guess what? Some of them still die. Some of them still, struggle. Some of them still wrestle with things. Yes, they do. Why? Have you ever asked that question? And I know we hear people say, well, don't question God. Well, we might not say it out loud, but we do question. Come on here, y'all, get in these comments. We do question. We absolutely do find ourselves questioning and wondering and saying, hey, is it me? Ever said that? Is it me? Maybe you thought by now that you'd be married. Maybe you thought by now that you'd have a family. Maybe you thought by now that you're supposed to not just work for the business, but own the business, right? Maybe you thought by now that, hey, I've been eating well, I've been doing that, I've been exercising and working out or whatever. And then I go back to the doctor only to find out that my stuff looks worse, to find out that instead of things going in the right direction, they're going in the wrong direction. Is it me? And see, there are some issues, some things that are character issues. We understand that. Then we have these chemical issues. That's why we're talking about mental health. So we have some issues, some struggles that we have are as a result of chemical imbalance or some type of physiological problem, right? Some type of emotional issue, right? Then we have those things that come or happen as a result of our decisions, of our character. Okay, we know that, right? So what that says is not everything. That's right, Mom. That's right. That says to us that not everything is going to be like this right here. Okay, verbatim. How God does what he does, verbatim. When God does what he does, verbatim. And then there's a book that we all can read that puts it down. And I mean, like really, really explains it to, to the T and down to the science. The Bible is the closest thing that we have to that. And even in that, the Bible is contextualized. So what does that mean? Sometimes it takes relationship to be able to really even interpret adequately the Bible and to really, I'm talking about really, apply it to your own situation. So if you find yourself having those kinds of questions tonight, I want to help you. I want to put your mind at ease. The question is, does God really heal, or do I not have enough faith? The answer to the first question is, does God really heal? Yes. Second answer, do I not have enough faith? Maybe. Is that a definite yes? No. I hope that me saying that tonight liberates you on so many levels to keep doing life with God, to not get discouraged, to not say, well, you know what? I've tried everything. I've done everything. Okay, we're going to get into that. Listen, it's not the size of your faith. Somebody put that in the comments. It's not the size of your faith. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me go and I have to try to see who's in. All right. So if I don't greet you guys, it's just because I don't see your name, but welcome. Thank you so much for coming on. Be a part of the conversation tonight. Feel free to get in the comments. I sometimes share comments on the screen, but we're having a real conversation tonight about mental health. And we're talking about the question you see on your screen. Does God really heal, or is it my faith? All right. So here we go. It's not the size of your faith, but the object of your faith that God is concerned with. It's not the size of my faith that God is concerned with. Okay, because he told us if you have the faith the size of a mustard seed, which means you don't need a lot of faith. Okay, you don't need a lot of faith. But the object of your faith is extremely important. That is the motivation. God's greatest plan for us is not that we be happy, healthy, or wealthy. I say that again. God's greatest plan for us, or his greatest focus for us, is not to make us happy, healthy, or wealthy. That's part of the plan. But do you know what the greatest thing is? The greatest part of the plan of God is for us is for us to trust him, to know him. It's relationship, not so much the things that come as a result of relationship. It's relationship. It's for you to know him. And not only that, for us to become more like him. And not only that, but for us to then look like him and reflect him to others. That is what God's greatest plan. So God's not interested in just making us happy, just causing us to be healthy and to make us wealthy, even though that's part of the plan. That's part of the plan. So listen, Do you know that there are going to be those times in your life and in my life where you are going to hear a no from God? It may not ever come out of his mouth, but you see it in your circumstances. The thing you just thought was going to happen a certain way, it didn't manifest that way. The thing you just knew he was going to do, you prayed about it, you labored about it, just like Paul, and it still didn't happen the way you thought. I tell you, that's a hard place. When you thought you heard him say one thing, and so you got your heart set on that one thing. Have you ever been there? You thought you heard him say something. Maybe he said it directly to you. Maybe he said it through somebody else, and you got your heart set on it. You know what I mean? You had your sights were on it. I'm looking for it any day. And you get in this place of faith. I'm looking for it to happen and manifest any day now, any day. And you have this excitement. And do you know there are actual situations where it never comes to pass? It never happens. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Now, if my hair busts out of this scrunchie, because I can feel I think my scrunchie just popped, y'all, it's going to be a big mess, but we're going to go with it, okay? Because I don't have another scrunchie right here. We're just going to go on with it. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's just an afro. It's just a fro. That's what our ancestors was rocking before we had all this other stuff. Don't be afraid of it, okay? Guys, I want you to hear me on today. Sometimes it's just not going to pan out the way we thought. It's not going to work out the way you thought. It's not going to be what you thought it would be. They're not going to do what you thought they would do. You're not going to be with who you thought you'd be with. And I could go on down the list. Thank you guys for coming on tonight. Listen, do you know it takes more faith to hear God's no? Why? Because that requires us to still trust him in the middle of the discomfort, in the middle of the difficulty, than it does following him when things are great. It's where our faith is really tested, is in hearing God's no. When we first started this series a few weeks ago, the first thing I dealt with was stress. And then the second thing I dealt with was dealing with disappointment and discouragement. Guys, we really have to acknowledge that and say, Lord, man, I really thought that you were going to do this. I really thought that you were going to do this. Have y'all ever felt that way? I really thought this was going to happen. I really did. And it didn't happen that way. And so then I had to grieve, and I have to get over myself, and I have to accept that, you know what? God knows what's best. And that is really, really difficult. You're not always going to be able to explain it. You're not always going to be able to understand it. That's the point tonight. Here we go, Risa. Come on here. That's right. Risa said, yes, and maintain a healthy praise. You know what, guys? That's easier. It's easier said than done. That's why the object of our relationship with God should be relationship, not things, not gifts. You understand what I'm saying? Because all of those other things, they are fleeting. They are fleeting. So tonight, let me ask you, my mom used to preach that a lot. She used to say, are you serving God for the handouts? And if we'll be honest, guys, we have the truth, because the moment God doesn't answer us, the moment he doesn't grant our petition, whatever, guess what? It's normal to feel disappointed. It's more normal to feel angry, all of the stages of grief. But the bottom line is to be able to go forward and still say, okay, Lord, I don't understand your ways, but I'll give you my song. Rita Springer has a song that says that. I don't understand your ways, but I'll give you my song. I'll give you all of my praise. You hold on to all my pain, and with it, you're pulling me closer, pulling me into your ways. And that song just goes on, and she ends up saying the chorus is, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it all. Look it up. It's by Rita Springer. Let me just explain something to you. You're going to get a yes at some point in your life. But my friends, do you realize that you're also going to experience things in your life that seem like a no from God? He didn't do it the way you thought. He didn't do it when you thought he would. He didn't use who you thought he would. The person you thought was going to help you. The person you thought was your way up. The person you thought was your solution. The person you thought you'd spend the rest of your life with. The person you thought, would be loyal to you for the rest of their lives. And it doesn't happen that way. We all have those things happen in our lives. So what am I saying today? Be careful what you say to someone in the middle of a struggle. And I hope and hope and hope. As I said, next week, my goal is to gather a few pastors and have them come on and do a Q&A with me about mental health and how they see it in ministries and how they handle it, and answer some of your questions or whatever. And I'll be putting that out on my page. And hopefully you'll be transparent enough to ask questions. You can inbox me as well, questions that you have. But guys, here we go. Please understand, we need to be mindful of what we say to someone in the middle of a struggle. We need to be mindful of what we say to someone in the middle of their struggle. You need to be mindful of what you say to yourself in the middle of your struggle. Have you ever gone through something and it didn't happen the way you thought, and you start going in on yourself? If I had been more this, if I had had more faith, if I believed more, if I served more, if I had stayed focused, if I had this, if, and you start going in on yourself, only for the Lord to come around and say it had to happen. It had to happen. Have y'all ever experienced that? Because I know I have. It had to happen. So while you're trying to rationalize and reason it away and get it all figured out, who's like, next time I know what to do. Okay, next time I know what to do. Next time comes, same thing. Doesn't happen the way you expect. Say, what in the world? I mean, does God heal, or do I not have enough faith? Does he really care about this? I think I'm over this. I think, I was talking with someone and we were talking about, just the wrestling and the journey with depression. And, I was talking about that, like how, you can have seasons where you're doing fine and then all of a sudden things get out of balance. Most often you can kind of narrow it down with the help of God, with the help of a counselor, with the help of a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And you can narrow it down and try to figure out, okay, maybe what your triggers were, maybe try to figure out what, are they environmental stimuli that's kind of triggering? Are your eating habits changed? Are they bad or whatever? Is it to the point where maybe you're not as active as you used to be? What has changed? These are all the things, right? These are all of those things that I'm talking about today. And so that's what I'm saying to you tonight. It's having those real conversations to figure out, does God really heal, or do I not have enough faith? And when you figure out that it's not your faith, that it's just so the Lord's glory may be revealed. It's that the Lord has his time set. It's that the Lord is going to do it the way he wants to do it, when he wants to do it. If it's that, then let me explain something to you. Get out of your head and keep walking. Keep believing. Keep confessing your healing. Keep trusting. And stop trying to rationalize. Stop trying to rationalize. We don't need to bear the weight of God's decisions. And that's what we're doing when we're incriminating ourselves and when we're going in on ourselves. That's what we're doing. We're trying to bear the weight of God's decision. Do you realize that if somebody passes or if something happens in your life that's damaging or that's destructive, that's catastrophic, and you start getting into, well, I should have done this or I could have done more. Maybe it's true. But do you realize that life and death are not in your hands? Now, I understand the Bible says that life and death are in the power of the tongue. I understand that. But a person taking their last breath, do you know who calls the shots there? It's definitely not us. We think it's us, but it's not us. So we can't bear the weight of God's decisions. If he chooses to terminate a relationship you had with the person, you can't bear the weight of God's decisions. It's his job to bear the weight. Yes, Mom just said that is so powerful. She said it could just be my lot. Absolutely. That's exactly what we want to deal with. So listen, Colossians 4:6 says, let your conversation be always full of grace, okay? Seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone. Okay, so that you may know how to answer everyone. Pastors, that should help you. Mothers, fathers, that should help you. Okay, let your conversation be full of grace. Be seasoned with salt, right? In other words, before you try to analyze somebody's situation, before you try to figure out why that person is dealing with what they're dealing with and why they're going through what they're going through, and offer bad advice that's going to be damaging to you, before you do that, guess what you need to do? You need to get informed yourself. You need to be prayerful. You need to say, Lord, is there something I need to say? If he doesn't give you anything to say, don't put your 2 cents in there, because we oftentimes bring people into bondage. Do y'all know what I'm saying? We bring people into bondage. Yes, we absolutely do. We bring people into bondage. So here is what I want you to understand tonight. Here's what legalism says, though. Legalism says, well, if you do this, God will do that. Okay, if I go to church, if I pray more, if I read more, if I serve more, if I do all these things, then guess what? God's going to do what I ask him to do, honey. When I pray about my marriage, God's going to save my man. When I pray about my marriage, God's going to save my wife. When I pray about this job and the boss, that's just pretty much terrorizing me and just making my life miserable, guess what? God is going to change that boss or fire him or send him on somewhere or whatever. Meanwhile, 10 years later, you're still working for the same boss and trying to figure out, does God really care, or is it my faith? Ever been there? Ever been there? God is not manipulated, nor is he coerced into doing anything outside of his will. Now, I know we have that kind of power with people where we can do that, but we don't have that kind of power with God. God is not manipulated into doing what we do just because we pray, just because we read, just because we serve. If it's not in his will and it's not going to all work together in that great plan he has, you can pray all day. You can get on your knees and be snotty when you get up. You can go to church 10 days out of the week and there's only 7. But let me explain something to you. What you will to happen, what you desire to happen, will not happen. Why? Because it's not part of his plan. And therefore, we need to stop expending so much energy into trying to control and manipulate God and understanding, living this way in a legalistic manner. Salvation is a gift. And the only way to navigate the journey of salvation is by grace through faith. Salvation is a gift, and the only way to navigate this journey is by grace and through faith. So if you are dealing with mental health, if you're dealing with issues in your relationships, if you're dealing with issues in your body, physical things that you are dealing with, and you're proclaiming healing, and you've been praying about it, and you've been seeking God about it, and you've been wanting to see change, you've been wanting to see change. Can y'all understand what I'm saying? Guess what? God always promises to heal our souls, but he is not always obligated to heal or to change our situations. Not in the manner that we think he should. Now, I know God can change his mind. He can change his mind. If he wants to, if God wants to, God can absolutely change his mind. He can do that. God can do that. But if he doesn't, and we find ourselves in a place where, you know what, well, since you're not going to do what I want you to do, then I'm not going to do what you want me to do. Been there and done it. Well, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to go to church. I'm going to do all those things. But in my heart, guess what? I've got an alt against you. I've lost my hope. I've lost my joy. I'm somewhat resentful, God. I'm somewhat bitter. Okay, it's not like he can't handle that. It's not like you can't handle it. And if you haven't been through that at some point in your life, you will. You'll experience that. When he doesn't answer the way we think he should. All right. So let me give you some context here from scripture. Listen to this. In Acts 14, it says Paul heals a crippled man through the Lord. But Paul heals a crippled man in Lystra, or Lystra. Acts 16, he heals a demon-possessed woman. Okay, I'm going somewhere with this. All right, Acts 19, he healed a man in Ephesus, okay? Acts 20, he literally raised, Eutychus from the dead. Can you imagine what that was like? Literally knowing that God uses you, has given you such authority and power to literally raise someone from the dead, only for you to figure out you can't even raise yourself out of depression. You can't even raise yourself out of a bad relationship. You can't even raise yourself. You can't even heal yourself. You prayed about it. You cried about it. Guess what? I know y'all have experienced that. People will come to you all the time and say, man, you blessed my life. You prayed for me and I got healed. You prayed for my marriage and guess what? This happened. You prayed for me to have a baby and I had a baby. Meanwhile, here you are over here trying to get pregnant and cannot. Listen, God is not a genie in a bottle. We deal with those kinds of things, whether we want to admit it or not. We deal with those things. Now, let me give you some context here on the flip side of that. When we get a no from God, let's talk about Paul's no. You know what Paul told Timothy? He said, drink some wine. Timothy, why didn't he speak and declare the word over Timothy? He told Timothy to do what? Drink some wine, because Timothy had a stomach issue. Okay? Drink some wine. That's where we get that from. Oh, it's good for your stomachs, for the stomach's sake, right? Then he says here, it says that when Epaphroditus is his name, was sick, Paul couldn't heal him. Wait a minute. This same Paul just raised Eutychus from the dead. But over here, he can't heal Epaphroditus. Why in the world? Then it says when Paul himself wrestled with a thorn, and we just talked about that. We've been talking about it for a few weeks. Guess what? He was told by the same man, the same God that's using him to heal all those other people, my grace is sufficient for you. What in the world is going on here? Now, I have some questions, right? I just cannot understand that. Y'all excuse me. All right. I just can't understand it. Right. I just don't get it. I do not understand it. Listen, this is too much for me. I don't know how to deal with this. I can't take this. Guess what? We have all been there. The same Elijah that's calling fire down from heaven is in a cave hiding from Jezebel. Have you ever felt like a giant in one scene and a wimp in another? In another stage of your life, you feel like an utter failure. You feel like you're on top of the world in one season. And in the other season, feel like you can't even kill a mosquito. If it landed directly in your hand, you couldn't even kill a mosquito. It's very real. It's very real. How many of you go home with broken hearts because you serve the Lord? You pay your tithes. You give your offerings. You serve. You've been in ministry for years. You've been there. You've helped pray marriages through. People who are going through in their marriage and stuff, and you've prayed them through, only to go home and then your husband is acting like the devil. Okay, maybe he's not doing what he's supposed to do. Maybe he's tearing you down. Maybe he's abusive. He's toxic. Maybe he's got an alcohol problem. Whatever it is, and you're saying, "What in the world? Why is it that you can use me over here to heal and to work with this person and they get their deliverance, and then here I am over here in my own household and it's not happening?" See, God messes with us like that. Why? Because go back to this book. That's why I use the book. If it was meticulous and it was down to a science and everything like that, this thing would be easy. We wouldn't need faith, though. We wouldn't need faith. Because here it is. So see, even the Bible is contextualized. So therefore, like, I can look at scripture and I can say, okay, well, how do I apply this to my life? Well, it's something about having the Spirit of God that helps me make those interpretations and learn how to apply these things to my life. I'm talking to somebody tonight who has wrestled with that. Your healing is not the answer, but the healer is. Your deliverance is not the answer, but the deliverer is. And that is where our focus has to change to become more geared towards, do not lay up treasures for yourself here on the earth, okay, where moth and things can eat it up and destroy it and corrupt it. But therefore, lay up treasures for yourself where? In heaven, so that what? In other words, so that these things will not be able to be destroyed. That's why we can't just focus on, that's why this can't just be a manual where it's, oh, you want to get healed, do this, and everybody will get healed. You want to do this, blah, 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 blah. You want your marriage to grow and whatever. You want that person that you're struggling with or whatever, you want them to love you. You want them to change, do this, and everybody's marriage will get healed or whatever. That's why it can't be that way, because we would then get fixated on this right here and not so much on relationship with the Lord. I don't think we would ultimately grow in our faith. It takes faith. Without faith, the Bible says it's impossible to please God. Okay, let's see. My mom said, oh, my Lord, been there, but come to understand it was not my situation I was held accountable for, but my call and charge from God. Absolutely. Thank you guys for those comments. Y'all get in here and you talk to me now. And listen, it's not too late to share. It's not too late to invite. I do believe like that this is a message that needs to go out. So listen, when we think someone can help us, then we become desperate. And you know what? If I know that you can help me, sometimes I'll find myself being willing to do whatever it takes to get from you what I need from you. It's not so much about me getting to know you. It's not so much about me getting to spend time with you. It's about me getting that need met. But that's not necessarily relationship. That's the wrong focus. This is about us growing in our faith. It's about us understanding this what? I am not looking to people. I am looking to the Lord. Not so much just for the results that I want, but for the connection that I need, for the growth, the maturity that I need. So let me tell you what happens when we don't get that. You see it all the time. People will go and spend money. They'll spend millions of dollars. They'll spend thousands of dollars on this and they'll spend $1,000 on that and trying to get what they need and trying to, ultimately, get the results that they want. So if it's a quick fad, y'all know what it is. Hey, whatever it takes. I just need this thing to happen for me. I just need this thing done. People even get desperate enough to go to witch doctors. Yes, they do. And Christian people do it too. They go to the website. They ask for somebody to read their palm. They read the horoscope. They be desperate. We even be looking in them fortune cookies trying to find some answers. Okay, God is quiet. It seems like God is quiet. So guess what? I need to find some answers from somewhere. When you're desperate, you just about do anything. And that's where the Lord, really tries to change our focus. Okay. So this is what you want to do. When you are dealing with mental health, when you are dealing with issues, social issues, cultural issues, relational issues, whatever, financial issues, when you are dealing with those things, pastors, leaders, people in general, all of us, I'm going to teach us how to help. Here is how to help. Number one. All right. So this is where I need you to pay attention. Okay. Because remember, I told you I was going to give you the opportunity to win a free piece. All right. So stay with me here. All right. So here we go. Number one, you want to help. Here's what you do. Educate yourself. You're sitting on this platform tonight, and I look at my screen. I wish that more people were able to hear this, and also more people were here to be able to share. Yes, honey, I've been there. I've done it. I've experienced it. I'm so thankful for those of you here that are on. But that's really the issue, though, is that we need to educate ourselves. We need to educate ourselves. Do you know, even in our society, the things that get the most ratings, it's drama. And that's our fault. You know what people watch the most of on social media? Do you know what people watch the most of on TV? Drama. Women fighting, pulling each other's hair, throwing drinks across the table. Somebody's man cheating. That's the kind of stuff we watch. And when we do that, what we're doing is boosting those ratings. What are we going to do? We're going to see more of what we support. And that is the thing. So number one, educate yourself. Become informed. Find yourself looking for things that are empowering, enriching. All right. Look for enrichment. Find yourself watching that on TV, watching that on social media. Okay. So listen to this. 48% of evangelicals, when I heard this, I can believe it. But listen to this. 48% of evangelicals believe that serious mental illness can be overcome with prayer and Bible study alone. Do you know that's a real statistic? %48 of us believe, okay? And I just heard this yesterday. 48% of people believe that mental illness, not just mental illness, serious mental illness can be overcome with prayer and Bible study alone. And that may be true for somebody. But then you have those others who that is not necessarily the truth. It goes back to what I just said to you a minute ago. Does God really heal? Because I've done all those things. I have prayed. I've gone to Bible study. I have committed myself to the Lord. I've done these things or whatever, and I still struggle with it. That's what somebody will say. So then how do you answer? How do you help that person? That's why we need to be educated. Sometimes the same way, if a person came to you and said, Pastor, I just found out I was diagnosed with, with cancer. I just found out I was diagnosed with whatever it is, you would be on a heartbeat saying, what's the treatment plan? What's the treatment plan? But we don't necessarily do that when it comes to, and somebody comes to you and says, I've thought a lot about, I just feel sad all the time. Or I just feel, I pray, I read, I whatever, but I just find I'm struggling, or I just can't seem to get over this, or I just can't feel, I just feel like I can't get past this, or I'm really bogged down with weight and discouragement and guilt and shame and all of these things, right? I have so much anger, Pastor. I have so much anger. I wrestle with so much anger, and I'm going off on my kids. I'm going off on my husband. I'm going off on my wife, and I find myself acting out. And when I come to, I'm having to apologize over and over and over again. And these are the kinds of things that our people are dealing with, that we are dealing with. And you know what we do? We're going to pray for you. We're going to lift you up, because God can heal you. Yes, he can. He absolutely can. But you know what? Sometimes the fact that this is what says that I believe God can heal me, when I go take myself to a therapist, somebody, the same way I go to an oncologist for cancer, I take myself to a therapist to help me figure out what is going on with my mind, what is going on with my brain. Is there something off about the chemistry in my brain? And I go there and I sit down and I'm adamant about it. And I'm still speaking the word. I'm still claiming that I'm healed. I am the healed of the Lord. I am whole, that he told me that if I speak to that mountain and it commanded to be thou removed and cast into the sea, that nothing shall be impossible. I get up, I'm sad. Nothing shall be impossible. I get up and I still feel that same irritability. Nothing shall be impossible. This is the kind of hope we have to give people, that even when you see the symptoms, even when you see the signs, it's okay. Go get help. Go get treatment. Yes, sit yourself in somebody's office. Tell them what's bothering you. Tell them what's making you angry. Tell them what's triggering you. Tell them those secrets that are causing you to die internally, that are causing you to suffer internally, those hidden secrets, those things you're struggling with, you're wrestling with. Do you know how many people wrestle with sexual sin in ministry, in church? Come on here. Do you know how many people deal with and wrestle with sexual sin? And they stuff it down and they stuff it down. They suppress it. They suppress it. They suppress it. And then it gets to the point, guess what? Before they know it, they don't even realize there's a problem. It's just there. Why are you ill all the time? Because you got stuff you ain't talking about. You're dealing with stuff you're not talking about. You're dealing with stuff that you're really not addressed. We just got to keep on believing, honey. We just got to hang in there. Absolutely. I'm hanging in there now. I'm hanging in there. But I tell you, I'm barely hanging. This right here ain't sweet. I don't like it. I can't understand it. I can't feel like this every day. If you ever really experience depression, let me tell you something. You will come to a point where you feel like, I can't do this forever. Cannot do this forever. I do have to do something. I need to get in somebody's chair. I need to do something. And guess what? My faith will cause me to take action. Not just confess out of my mouth. My faith will cause me to take action. So pastors or whoever you are, when somebody comes to you and they are wrestling, they're dealing with sexual sin, they are dealing with struggling maybe with pornography, they're struggling with things or whatever, just impulses or whatever that are ungodly, and they don't want to feel that way. They don't want to struggle with lust. They don't want to struggle with the impulse to drink or whatever it is, to gamble. They don't want to, because guess what? Do you know you got ministers, you got preachers playing the number two and going to the casinos and playing too? And I'm not talking about just going one time for fun. I'm talking about they going on a regular because they hooked on it. And then when you start looking at the tithes and the income records, y'all better come on here. Let's just be honest. You say, what in the world? Where is their money? I can tell you where their money is. Guys, we need to have real conversations. We need to have people are struggling. You have men right now that it is almost impossible for them in their mind, in the condition that they're in, to be faithful to one woman. Yes, they are on your deacon board. Yes, they are serving in your parking lot ministry. Yes, they might even be your armor bearer, honey. But while they are going home and putting their wife to bed, they're putting somebody else's to bed too. Guess what? Not only that, they're online. They're doing all these things online. And I'm always careful about it just being about the church, because church people are human. So I'm not attacking the church. I'm just saying we need to get rid of the stigma. People are suffering, and they are suffering in silence. You know what I'm talking about. You may be one of those who is suffering in silence. Who can you go to and tell that? Who can you talk about those impulses, those urges? Who can you talk about? I crossed the line. It was at work. She complimented me on my tie. Just one day she complimented me on my tie. And the next day it was on my shoes. And the next day she needed help with her computer. And the next day her car wouldn't start. And so I had to take her home. And the next day her blender was broken, or her washing machine wouldn't work. And the next day there was something wrong with her bed, so I had to go fix it. And I ended up in it. Yes, I said that. These are the things that we honestly do struggle with, and we don't want to talk about it. But he who hides his sin cannot prosper. And that's where a lot of our mental illness comes from. The things we stuff down, the things we don't address or deal with. That's where it comes from. It's sobering. But we need to stop with the charades and the pretending or whatever. You know what? And that's why COVID really has showed us all up. COVID really has. It has showed us all up. Let me tell you why. Because if you were inconsistent, yes, Risa, suppression, absolutely. If you were inconsistent with ministry and with the Lord before COVID, you're definitely going to be inconsistent. And now, when church and everything is for a lot of people is virtual, you're definitely going to be inconsistent. If you struggle with your flesh, you know, if I struggle with my flesh, whatever it is, if I struggle with an issue before COVID, okay, when I was accountable every week, I showed up every week, I was around the saints every week. What do you think is going to happen when I'm left alone to myself day in and day out? And I don't get to see my pastor except for in Zoom or in whatever application you use. I don't get to go to church. I don't get to be around somebody who sees something you slipping. I see you. You slipping. You know, normally your hands raised up high. I see now that they kind of like this right here. I see something going on. Guess what? If you struggle before COVID, in most cases, most people, it really has shown us where we really are. And that's why we have to be honest. We have to be honest. Okay, so educate yourself. There are chemical problems and there are character problems. We need to know the difference. There are chemical problems. Yes, they can absolutely be treated with prayer, with scripture, with time with the saints, with time in the word, through counsel. That's absolutely true. But also sometimes, just as it would, an oncologist would advise their cancer patient, sometimes, baby, maybe you need a little bit of chemo. Maybe we need to go ahead and shrink this thing. Maybe we need to go ahead and eradicate those cells, because if they keep growing, I mean, listen, if those cells get out of control, honey, and they get to an abnormal size, we just created a recipe for your cancer to grow and spread. All right, when your cancer grows and spread, now not only is your maybe you had it cancer of the breast. Now not only are your breasts compromised, now your stomach can be compromised. Now your liver can be compromised. Now your kidneys can be compromised. Now your lymphatic system can be compromised. Eradicate those bad cells. Well, that's why you go to a counselor, a psychiatrist who says, here's what's happening with your brain. Here's what's happening with you right now. Let's treat this way so that we can eradicate. We can get your dopamine levels up. We can get your serotonin levels up, and we can get your happy chemicals and all of those things that give you a good sense of well-being, and all. We can get that where it needs to be, so then you can start resisting these impulses that you've been saying, I don't know where this is coming from. You're depressed. And when people are depressed, they do things they don't normally do. Do you know that before people commit suicide, that it is a statistic, it is a given fact that a lot of times the family members and the people speak up and start saying they saw changes. They became a little bit more boastful, or in other words, daring. They start doing things that they normally wouldn't do. They start doing like maybe they never would bungee jump, or they never would do tightrope or whatever it is. And now all of a sudden that person is doing those things. They're changing their hair. They're doing all this, just all these things. And it's sort of like sometimes they may be even in a manic state and you don't even know what's going on. It's like, hey, okay, that's cool. New you, new boo. Okay. All right. I like it. I like it. Meanwhile, you don't realize they are on the edge. That's why we have to educate ourselves. There's chemical problems and there's character problems. All right. Now, you treat chemical issues as you would physical conditions. You treat character issues as you would anything that is a potential to a threat to your health. Prevention and treatment are both important. If you don't treat a chemical imbalance in your brain, do you recognize what will happen? It not only just affects your physical body. I told you this a few weeks ago. Go back and watch that broadcast. It starts to affect other dimensions in your life. It starts to affect your prayer life. It starts to affect your will and your desire to get up and go to work. It starts to affect your will and your desire to get up and do evangelism, go to church, to be among the saints. You start wanting to isolate more. Yes. Why? Because I'm not treating what's really going on here. Something's off. Something's off. Well, it's not enough to say something's off. We have to do something. We have to do something. We have to say, you know what? Wow. I watched a show today. I was getting caught up on my shows. I literally today, I stayed in home all day. All day. I haven't even had dinner. I stayed home all day and I studied some. I worked some. I released my new catalog today. I said I'm going to be productive. I released my new catalog today with all my gorgeous $5 jewelry and everything. And I just spent the day alone. I didn't have any impulse to go anywhere or do anything. I wasn't depressed. It's just that's what I felt like I needed. And let me just explain. So I was watching these shows or whatever today. And as I was watching one of the shows, the girl started talking about, because she was a doctor and she was, all this time they've been kind of on autopilot and they just been trying to keep people from dying from COVID. They've been putting people, like we saw on the TV, having to just usher this patient out and I'm sorry for your loss. Usher that patient. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for your loss. And just dealing with it and dealing with it and dealing. And today, as I was watching, she just cracked. She broke. She was like, this is too much. This is too much. I know to do no harm. I know that we're supposed to be strong. I know that we're supposed to be in control of our emotion. But guess what? This is too much. This is too much. And she broke. She broke. Okay. What am I saying to you here? All along, that's why when you find yourself, so she said, I wake up thinking about getting high. I lay down thinking about getting high. She's like, why? Wait a minute. I wasn't in this place before. I didn't think about that. I didn't think so much about being alone as I do now, being lonely as I do now. I didn't think about making calls that I really know I shouldn't make. I didn't think about, going, to the store and maybe drinking instead of one glass of wine a day. I need to drink a glass of wine every morning and now every night. And I didn't think about the pills or whatever, taking one pill. Well, it was a headache yesterday. Now it's my stomach ache. Now just my toe hurt. Now ain't nothing wrong with me, but I just need to take that pill because I just seem to feel better when I take that pill. See, these things don't happen all of a sudden. They do. Hey, Tawanda. They do not happen all of a sudden, guys. They don't creep up on you. It's been happening all along. It's been happening all along. So when you find yourself in difficult situations where there's a lot of pressure on you, you find yourself struggling, you find yourself feeling a little bit more irritable, feeling a little bit more on edge, feeling sad more often, you find yourself wanting to isolate more, you don't wait until you get to the point where you can't get out of bed. That doesn't make sense. As soon as you start to feel it, start to treat it. It's prevention. Prevention is what keeps you from going into what we call major depression. Okay, and where it becomes chronic, and now you're gonna be there for a while. Listen, when you start to feel it, get the jumps on it. Talk about it. Hey, I need to book an appointment with my therapist. Hey, I need to talk to my pastor. Hey, guess what? I'm getting a little more calls right along now, a few more little texts than I should be, or I'm waking up with thoughts about this and that. I need to reach out, cry out, call somebody. That's how you get ahead of it. You have to. You're not superhuman. It can happen to any one of us. You say, oh, I'll never cheat. I would never do that. Who? Never me. No. Guess what? You'll be the main one to do it. Oh, I never, honey. I don't get high. I don't like pills. I don't like drugs or whatever. Guess what? Honey. That's okay. Just wait. Just wait. Just wait, because if you don't deal with your stuff, if you don't deal with your issues, if you don't get the jumps on it, guess what? How about these people who have, at first it's just, I just fly off the handle a little bit. And I just yell. I get mad at my wife and I just yell. Well, it happened once. He didn't mean it. She didn't mean it. It just happened once. They were stressed. They were stressed out. Oh, they were just stressed out. Okay, well, all right. Well, fast forward a couple of weeks. It happens again. Well, okay. Well, this time it was because of work. Work. This was happening or whatever. That's probably what triggered it. Now you're looking at this next week and it's happening again. Then it gets to the point where it's happening every day. And you know what's coming next? Hands. Anybody that tells you out of the blue that somebody just hollered off and hit them and they were shocked, they had never seen any signs of it, most of the time they are lying to you. Now, I'm not saying it can't happen. Most of the time they're lying. You saw that temper, baby. You saw it in him before you married him. You saw it in her before you married her. You saw it. All it took was the right recipe. Remember I told you about eradicating cancer cells, those abnormal cells, and how they get larger. They get, your red blood cells and all those things. When they get too large, I'm not a doctor. I don't really know the science of it. I just know from things that I've dealt with and looking at my own labs, okay, and trying to really understand what be going on with my own body. Let me just say, I know when your cells or whatever get at abnormal size or whatever, you're in danger. You're in danger. They didn't start out big, but when they get big enough, you're in danger. Well, it's the same thing with these things that we don't deal with. When they get big enough, you're in danger. Somebody's going to be betrayed. Somebody's going to be hurt. Somebody's going to be yelled at, cussed at, fussed at, hit, abused, abandoned, whatever it is. Somebody's going to have to come and pick you up because you are intoxicated. Somebody's life's going to be in danger. Guess what? And somebody's life's going to be destroyed because you take your life. Let me explain to you, these things don't just happen. They do not just happen. They do not happen. Absolutely, Charles. As soon as you start to feel it, start to treat it. Don't sit on it. Don't ponder. Don't rationalize it. Don't sit down and minimize it and say, well, you know that. No. I recently experienced it myself, and the beauty of it is I've been to therapy. I've taken classes. That's what my master's degree is in human services, you know, with a specialization in marriage and family. And let me tell you, those are some of the classes we took where I learned some of those skills that really helped me still to this day. One of the things I recognize is I know when I'm myself and when I am not. All the signs show up. All the signs start showing up. If you pay attention and you learn yourself well enough, you know these things don't just happen. No, they do not. Let's just not lie to ourselves. Guess what? Don't lie to yourselves. It doesn't just happen. So I found myself there. You know, it's not the first time I've dealt with it much of my life. Let me just explain to you. That's why I know. There were times, though, when I saw it happening that I stood back and I let it happen. To the point where one time I got in such a dark place. I used to think about dying every day. And I'm a believer. And there were times where I felt hopeless and I felt like, well, it's something wrong. You know, I must not have it. I must need to be dipped again or something. I must be one of them ones that in the end, he going to say, you thought you knew me. I don't know you. Something wrong. Cause I mean, this here is just, I don't get it. I don't understand or whatever now, you know, and let me tell you something. You can stay in that place. Or you can say, hey, look, I don't know how long this is going to be an issue for me. Okay. I could wake up tomorrow and this is a thing of the past. But until it is, you need to know yourself. And what I did is I paid attention, but I let myself get so low. I started making stupid decisions. I became very careless. I can't literally take my life. Okay. I'm not going to do that. But I can just not care about my life. Children and all. Understanding, yes, I had children. You think, what wouldn't you think about your kids? What if you destroy yourself and destroy your body and say, you know, you let yourself get down, you let your health go so much so that, you know, your kids lose their mom? Do you think that, how do you think that's going to affect them? This is why you need to get educated. Because when you are depressed, you literally feel like you are doing people a favor. You feel like they'd be better off without you. And I have had those times where I was that low. So I really didn't think, you know, yeah, well, it's really not going to matter. They probably be happier anyway. So no, and some of y'all, that's where you're at. No, you're not going to take your life, but you just have stopped caring about your life. So you're making reckless decisions. You do whatever you think, whatever. Like really, honestly, it's like it's a slow death. You're slowly killing yourself. Okay. And that is why I'm saying you got to get the jumps on it. You have to pay attention. So I made some stupid choices. I made some decisions. I kept things I never thought that I would do, that I found myself doing. You understand the allowances, the way I minimized the things that I was doing. I was always aware. I did not excuse it because I know the Lord enough to know that I know. Okay. I know when I'm in error. That's the thing. I thank God for the Holy Spirit. I know when I'm in error. So, but I made stupid, careless choices. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you all for your transparency because I see it in these comments. I'm telling you, yes, It will take over your life, Tawanda. I see y'all. Yes, thank y'all. Put these things in the comments. I'm going to be clicking on them and sharing them as you share. Listen, guys, it is so important for us to understand these things don't just happen. They don't just happen. You got to pay attention. And so here's the bottom line. That time, fast forward, I had to end up crying out, Lord, just help me. Get me out of these situations. Take this desire, take this pain. Okay, let me give you this pain. Let me tell you what, a large portion of it was disappointment. I was extremely sad. I was disappointed in myself. I was disappointed in how things panned out because, again, I felt like this is not what you said. This is not how you said things were going to pan out. So, if I tried to do this, I tried to be, like one of the situations was my marriage failing. I tried to be a good wife. I tried to do, and here it is, all these promises, these things spoken over my marriage, and I would have a son and all this, and just, dealing with that, and it didn't happen. Okay, I accepted, but internally I was sad. Internally I was disappointed because I was like, here I am now in my late 30s. Now what? I don't want to start over again. I don't want to do this mess all over again. I gave up my opportunities to have more children. I wanted more children. I could go on down the list. I thought that I would be further along in all these things that I dealt with. I was deeply, deeply grieving. I was sad. I was disappointed. And you know what I did? I turned it inward and I turned outward, finding outlets. Finding unhealthy outlets and connecting with things, connecting with people, doing things I know that were beneath me. But guess what? There came a time when I cried out. And the rest is the Lord. He helped me. He helped me to make disconnections from situations that I was in. He helped me to walk away from certain things. He helped me to stop making calls. He helped me to stop accepting texts. He helped me to stop doing some of the things that I was doing. But let me explain to you. And then one day I look up, I don't know what the day was. It wasn't one day, actually. It was over time where I found like I was kind of getting back to myself again. And then recently I found myself in a place where that sadness was coming around again. And I'm like, what is this? What am I doing? Okay, yeah, we are dealing with a pandemic. Yeah, my situation has changed. Yeah, I'm not working on my job right now like I was used to. So, I identify largely with the work that I do. I just like being resourceful. So, okay, well, I made that choice. Well, all right, fine. Hey, some of it I have control over. Some of it I don't have control over. All right, look, my situation has changed. I'm not doing the things that I usually am doing to help me to cope. And now I found myself. So what is going on? Okay, I found it coming. When I found it coming, I immediately jumped on it. Why? Because I said, oh, no. I know that dark place. I know what I did in the dark. I know the things I turned to and I looked to when I was in that dark place. And I never want to go back to that place where you can't look your children in the eye because you're dealing with so much shame. Have you ever been there where you really can't even look your own kids in the eye? You're telling them to do things that are right. You're telling them to look to the Lord. You're telling them how to live, and then you hiding your phone because you don't want them to see stuff that's in your phone. You hiding things that you're doing. You get to the point where you start excusing things because you know that you're not living up to nothing. Let's just be honest. So I said, when I start to feel that come again, now I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back there. And listen, let me tell you something. It's never hard to go back. It might be difficult to go forward, but it is never hard. Very rarely is it hard to go back. Keep that in mind. So what am I saying to you today? Educate yourself. Equip your members. Pastor, listen. Listen. Pastors, Equip your members. Don't just engage their mind with the word, but engage their hearts. Engage people's minds and their hearts. Train your leaders. Train them to recognize when something is going wrong. Something is off. Train them to recognize the signs. You being on this broadcast tonight, all of you are getting educated so that you can recognize the signs. You can learn and discern when something's off, when something's wrong. Ultimately, it's going to help you to help somebody else. It's going to help you to help yourself. Train your leaders. Provide resources. Provide external help. That brings me to my third thing. So the first one was educate yourself. The second one was equip members. Okay, equip members or get equipped. Number 3 is build a bridge between the natural and the spiritual. This is the problem we have in the church. I'm so glad, Tawanda. I am so glad. Build a bridge between the natural and the spiritual. The bottom line is that low, dark place did something for me because it taught me not to put too much confidence in the flesh. I've always been very performance driven. And when I got to the point where I realized no matter what I try, how hard I try to measure up, I will never, ever, ever measure up. That's why I keep saying it's by grace through faith. By grace through faith. Build a bridge between the natural and the spiritual. It's not just enough to do the spiritual things. That's wonderful. That's awesome. It may actually work for somebody, but for you, it may mean that you have to take a step further and find natural, physical, tangible resources that are right here with you. Go sit in somebody's chair. If it means temporarily that you have to take medicine or however long you have to take prescribed medicine, not CBD oil, not all these things. I hope I don't get censored for that. I'm not trying to take anything away from any company. All I'm saying to you is that sometimes those things are not enough for everybody. Go to a licensed psychiatrist, somebody who is trained in that, to recognize what is going on with you and to provide, a solution. You got to trust somebody. Now, we talked about a while ago the reasons why people don't get help. Remember, we talked about that, the reasons that people don't get help. It is so important that we understand that we have to trust somebody. Tawanda, I am so glad. I am so glad. So glad. Well, you got to trust somebody. If you want to really get help, you're going to have to trust somebody. You are going to have to trust somebody. Well, I don't trust these therapists. Well, let me put your mind at ease. Unless they want to lose their job, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, they are entitled, They are held to a standard of confidentiality, which means what you share with them, unless you are a threat to yourself or someone else, they absolutely cannot share. So guess what? Put your mind at ease. You can go talk about your husband, even if he is a pastor. You can go talk about your cousin, even though they are the leader or your boss. You can talk about whoever you want to talk about. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about, because they cannot share. We have to trust somebody. Thank you all, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. I do appreciate you. You know that. I really, really do. All right. So now listen, we know again, why don't we seek help? I want to read these to you one more time. Self-sufficient. I can handle it on my own. Number 2, fear of the stigma. Number 3, confidentiality concerns. These are the reasons we don't seek help. Number 4, lack of accessibility. Well, I can't get there. I already told you, if you live in an area or if you're in a place right now where financially you're unable to do it, there is funding. There's programs that will take care of your mental wellness. They don't want people dying on their watch. There are programs. Please understand. Not only that, if you can't get there, Medicaid, if you have Medicaid, if you don't have Medicaid, whatever, most of the time time with Medicaid, they will transport you to and from your appointments if you need help. There is absolutely no reason. I'm not saying this is a quick fix for everybody. Okay, some situations require a little bit more strategizing. But number 5, people don't get help because low knowledge about mental health services. They don't know where to get help. They don't know who to turn to. Number 6, lack of trust for the source. And that brings me back to where we just are. You have to build a bridge between the natural and the spiritual. Take care of your mental health, but also take care of your physical health. Take care of your spiritual health. All right? They all work together. Mind, body, spirit. All right? They all work together. Okay? Pastors oftentimes will burn out. Leaders will often burn out. You want to know why they burn out? Trying to help everybody? Because they're trying to do it all themselves. Instead of saying, hey, I'm going to host a workshop on mental health. I'm going to host a workshop on depression. I'm going to have a support group for people dealing with alcohol. What? You got a program for people dealing with alcohol at your church? And you supposed to be able to lay hands on people and speak over them and get them healed and delivered? Yeah. Because obviously it ain't always working because you still drinking, you still smoking, you still getting high. So what's the problem? I mean, here it is. It goes back to my topic there. I mean, does God really heal or do I just not have enough faith? There are people who have to walk out their healing. There's your answer. There are people who are going to have to walk out your healing. Maybe you are one. Maybe I am one. So if that's the case, then provide the resources. Be a bridge, pastors. Don't do it all yourself. Refer. Guess what? Outsource to good, credible counselors, therapists. Outsource. Bring people in a safe space where people feel comfortable in a family-oriented environment. Do you know how many times I've gone to church programs? I went through a divorce care. If you've gone through a divorce and you want a resource, divorce care. Look it up. It's a program. You can go through. It's usually about 12 weeks. You can go through that program. Guess what? Children struggling. Do you know it affects them too? I put my kids through divorce care for kids. Absolutely a positive resource. And then you know what? I was struggling, in those points, whatever. Sometimes I found myself just feeling always exhausted. I felt like it was a chore. I just felt like, how can I deal with my drama, with my issues, with my internal stuff, and still try to parent my kids and raise them the way I want them to be raised or whatever. I'm just dealing with so much stuff at one time. I took a single and parenting class. Yes, I did. And guess where all of these things were at? A church. They were at a church. Not necessarily our churches. I hate to say that, but they were at churches. And I'm not even talking about when I lived around here. I'm talking about when I lived other places. They weren't necessarily at our churches, but they were at churches. I went to a one-step program one time for people dealing with, struggling. Yeah, come on, Miss Sherry. There it is. Thank you. I went to a program one time and, where I just always wanted to learn, like, if there's something going on with me, is there something wrong? Again, this was kind of part of the problem, me trying to figure out how I can fix myself, and I recognize I do need the Lord, but I thank God for the education, for the training, for what I learned. I went to a codependence anonymous group one time. You don't know what codependence is? Look it up. It's going to change your life. How to stop trying to control and rescue everybody else and learning how to take care of yourself. That's what codependence is. Okay. People who are always rescuing, caretaking, taking responsibility for other people and neglecting themselves. That's what a codependent person is. I went to a group. I learned so much. I went to an EFT program one time and I learned about emotional freedom techniques. Remember, I told you that? I always laugh about it. They say, even though whatever it is, whatever the struggle you have is, or whatever, and you're tapping on yourself because you're emotional, your zones or whatever it is, okay, chakras, all that stuff. But anyway, because of those things, I deeply and completely accept myself. Hey, I went through all those things. I've learned the balance. I understand that even with AA, with these 12-step programs and stuff, it's wonderful. It's a great resource, but you have to balance that with the spiritual also. We do understand that not only is a person sick in their mind, they're sick in their spirit. Okay. We do have to understand that there is a spiritual component to this too. That's where I kind of saw an imbalance, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing here right now, bridging the gap, bringing the spiritual and the natural together. God will absolutely heal you. God will absolutely deliver us. us, God will absolutely. But if some of us are on a journey towards healing, guess what? Remember that you're always healed, that you're already healed. But the journey, the process, and what it is that you need to learn, what it is in the areas in your life where you're going to have to grow, just keep in mind. That's where you're going to need the grace. That's where you're going to need your faith. All right? So pastors, train and educate people. Don't try to do it all yourself. Parents, it can be exhausting. Hurt people. Absolutely, Tawanda. Absolutely. There are people who are going to have to walk out their healing. God is concerned about the whole us. Yes, he is, Mom. He absolutely is. He is concerned about the whole us. Okay. So here it is. In conclusion, here's where we are. What does caring look like specifically? Okay. All right. Now recognize something's wrong. Something's off. Something's, wrong. If I'm a pastor, I'm a leader, I'm a mother, I'm a father, and I recognize something wrong. Or if it's personal, if it's something I'm dealing with myself, how do I care for myself? Okay. I'm going to give you these things very quickly. Number one, be an active listener. Not a passive listener, but an active listener. Be present and listen. Number two, okay, elicit essential problems and symptoms. Now that part right there, basically what you're trying to do is get to the root of the problem. That's what we're talking about. And a lot of times that's where you're going to need to bridge the gap. You may need to involve someone else who's trained in that. Okay. Number three, communicate empathy and positive regard. There's nothing like going to somebody and telling them your problems, telling them what you're dealing with, that you face. Pastor, I have a porn addiction, and I have tried. My wife, she's just at the point where she's like, she's not going to deal with it anymore. I don't want to lose my family. I don't want to lose my family, Pastor. I don't want to lose my family. Help me, Pastor. Help me to do what I need to do. I don't want to lose my family. And then he's saying, you need to pray more. See, the reason you're going through that is because you don't pray enough. It's because you're not doing this or because you're not doing that. Now, I am not talking about tough, sometimes we do need tough love. Okay. We do need somebody to tell us the truth. But we don't need condemnation. We do not need condemnation. So show empathy. You know what? I hear you. Doesn't mean I agree with you, but I do hear you. Okay? Validate what they're saying. I hear you. I understand. You know what? I understand. It's so easy. Don't excuse. Empathize. I didn't say empathize. I didn't say excuse. I said empathize. Okay? Doesn't mean I necessarily agree with you, but it means that I am very concerned. Okay? Number four. So the number one, Mom, was active listening. Number two was elicit essential problems and symptoms. Number three, communicate empathy and positive regard. Number four, facilitate expression of feelings. In other words, yes, guys, what I'll do is when this is over, or towards the end, while we're about to come to the end, I will actually type this in the comments for you. Okay. Number one was active listening. Number two, elicit essential problems and symptoms. Number three, communicate empathy and positive regard. Number four, facilitate expression of feelings. What do I mean by facilitate expression of feelings? In other words, don't teach people how to suppress their feelings or to stuff their feelings or their emotions. Teach them how to say it. Teach them how to own them and then move beyond it. In ministry, what we often find is that we're being taught more often than not to basically minimize or to discredit our feelings. Therefore, what we do is we feel that stigma, okay, the negative connotation there. So I'm going to feel like, well, maybe I don't need to share that. This is not the place for that. Somebody come up to the office, they say, I really been struggling with this. I really been going through, dealing with this. I'm being unfaithful. And that doesn't mean context, okay? Because especially if you got children, you got other people involved that you don't want to be hurt. I absolutely understand that you have to use some discretion. But it should absolutely be a place where people can uncover. But do you know what, saints of God, we do? Instead, we cover. I've been talking all this for weeks and saying, don't cover up. Cover, but don't cover up. So teach people to own their mess, to own their feelings, okay? And then get towards treatment, okay? Let's talk about how to move beyond this. Don't put that in the atmosphere. Don't say that. I've been struggling with depression. Don't put that out there. Don't say, let me tell you something. Okay, maybe I need to say it differently. But the reality is I'm sad. I've been sad for a long time. Okay, I'm angry. I've been angry for a long time. I feel like isolated. I've been feeling that way for a long time. I feel withdrawn. I don't feel good about myself. I feel bitter. I feel, just sorrowful. I feel tired all the time. I don't want to come to Bible study. I don't want to come to church. Okay, I hear you. I see you. I understand. So now let's talk about maybe how we got here. Don't immediately jump into trying to triage them and put them, this is what we do. Go get me the oil. That's wonderful. But you ain't going to have nothing but a whole bunch of greasy saints who are still not free, who are still not healed, who are still not whole. You put a whole bottle of extra virgin olive oil on me. Guess what, honey? If something doesn't transition, if I don't forgive and release people, if I don't forgive myself, if I don't forgive my mother, my father, if I don't forgive that person who hurt me, if I don't release the trauma of the past, the things that have happened in my life, honey, all you did was grease me down. I'm just a greasy, broken individual. That's all I am. We have to triage people. We have to literally, and that's what it's called ministerial triage, meaning I'm going to give you the questions that you're going to ask yourself. So let me give you those, how do we care? It's called the art of caring. Number 1, active listening. Number 2, elicit essential problems and symptoms. Number 3, communicate empathy and positive regard. Okay. I hear you. I see you. Facilitate expressions of feelings by asking the right questions. Ask the right questions. Sometimes we're scared of the answers we're going to get, so we don't want to ask them. Okay. Number 5, respect confidentiality. If people can't trust you, if you telling their business, if you sharing what they come to you about or whatever, then guess what? You are basically affirming that I can't think of the word. The negative, you're affirming the negative. I can't think of what it is, but anyway, you're affirming it. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're affirming that. Negative dialogue, it's another word, but you are affirming that. The fulfilling prophecy. Okay, you're affirming it. Okay, that's what they thought. That's why they didn't get help in the first place. That's why they didn't ask for help. That's why they didn't come to the church. That's why they didn't go to a therapist, because you running down, you telling their business. Or either you get up in church and put them in your sermons. We put them in our sermons. You understand what I'm saying? Parents. When your child comes to you about something serious that they're struggling with or whatever, keep it between you and them. If it's serious enough, and I'm going to give you the questions to ask to know when you need to actually involve somebody else outside of you, basically means when it's a situation that's beyond you. Okay. But I want y'all to hear me tonight. I want you to understand it is absolutely important for you to respect confidentiality, create that trust, build a bridge. Number 6, collaborate on evaluation and strategizing. You don't know everything. You honestly may not be the one. You may not be the one. If your member, if your child, if your husband has to go and talk to somebody else, don't be offended. Just as long as they're getting the help, that's what you should care about. Not that and some people are condemned by that. They are criticized by that. Well, no, it should come in-house. No, let me tell you, anytime I need to get therapy, I went outside of here. I went areas where nobody knew me. And let me explain something to you. There's a freedom in that. Now, you can't always do that. But I'm just telling you. And it was for that reason. My mom is a pastor. So some things I'm definitely not about to say to somebody around here. I mean, come on. I can't. Y'all can't handle it. I say some things on here tonight. Like when I say certain things, I've seen it. I've been doing this for a little while. So when I notice when I talk about certain things, you can see. You can just see, you can feel sometimes the tension. Even it seems so weird that I would be over here where I'm at and you are all in your respective places, but you can sense it. And that's why I love what's happening in these comments over here tonight. It is profound because while I'm doing that, people are affirming me. You know how that's helping me to share my truth and to be my authentic self. Meanwhile, I'm hoping that it encourages you to do the same yourself. Be honest. Speak your truth. Okay, it doesn't mean come out here and just be downward Debbie or negative Debbie. No, I mean, we do need to cast down every vain imagination, every high thing that exalts itself against knowledge. We got to use the word now, absolutely. But see, I need to own what I am feeling, what I am facing, what I'm dealing with. If I'm lonely and I'm struggling, okay, I promise y'all I'm getting ready to close this out. Okay. I promise. I said, I didn't even write as much tonight. I said I'm going to be brief. I guess I'm just long-winded. I apologize. But I just have so much passion about it. I'm going to start splitting this into different sessions. But I just feel like I just got to say it because I always feel like one person may be listening for that. So you say, oh, I'm going to leave that out. But one person may be listening for that. So yes, collaborate on evaluation. Give people the freedom and the choice. If I don't do it for you, if I don't work for you, if you are not comfortable with me or whatever, go somewhere else. It's okay. Be comfortable as long as you get help. I care about your well-being. Some of y'all, are criticizing or condemning your people for going to get help, making it seem as if they're not spiritual enough. How are you going to feel when they take their life? They came to you. You saw the signs. We have to build a bridge between the natural and the spiritual. We absolutely do. And when you figure out, I know it. Let me put this on right here on the screen. Show Liz, y'all. I sure am Paul Edwards Baker. Child, I know it. I am. They should have named me Paul Jr. But it's okay. I love my daddy. I think he's spectacular. Okay? Listen, if you can't get what you need one place, get it wherever you can get it in a positive manner. Okay? Don't let anybody bring shame to you about that. Okay, don't let anybody bring shame to you about that. Also, pastors, leaders, mothers, fathers, wives, husbands, when you can't help, be willing to make the referral. Send them to somebody who can help them. Schools, churches, jobs, and I'm going to go. That's what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks. Next week, I'm going to deal with church. And then in the next one, I want to do in the workplace, mental health in the workplace. Then I want to deal with mental health in just in different facets. I really want to deal with that. But listen to me. Make the referral when it's necessary, okay? So to close, here are some of the questions. Here's how you know when you need to reach out or you need to refer someone. Okay? Here's how you know when it's beyond your help, is what I'm saying. And that includes you yourself. When you think, oh, I got it, I can handle it, I can deal with it. These are the questions you're going to ask yourself. And this is how we're closing tonight. Number one, what is the nature of the problem? How severe does it appear to be? Do not minimize. If somebody comes to you and they tell you they had a thought about dying or whatever, you do not minimize that. Yes, empathize, but you need to consult. You need to consult and figure out, hey, listen, let's figure out what we need to do. Okay? Number two, is the person an immediate risk to themselves or to others? And see, now here's the trick. If I tell somebody, then not only are you going to have the stigma of it, but I'm going to deal with the stigma of it because you my child, you my son, you my daughter, you my husband, you my father, you my church member, you're my employee. So if you end up institutionalized, if you end up going to get help, if you end up going to get therapy, it not only makes you look bad, it makes me look bad. What am I not doing? Don't make this about you. Don't make this about you. This is not about you. It's about them. And when you love people, you're going to make it about them. Honey, do what you need to do. Love is a choice. You do what you need to do, honey. If I can't help you, look, I might even be part of the problem. Okay? Maybe I'm part of the reason why you are depressed. Then of course I'm not going to want to talk to you about my depression if you're part of the reason why I am depressed. That's why we need to go ahead and know when we need to refer people. Okay? So are they a risk to themselves or others? Number three, is a person able to reasonably engage in self-care and make good decisions? In other words, you're looking for stability. Are they able to care for themselves and make sound decisions? Are they making sound decisions right now? You have to be honest. Don't be in denial. Be honest. Number four, what sort of mental health care would be best to meet the needs? This is that part about strategizing. Remember we talked about that? Evaluate and then come up with a strategy. Figure out what kind of mental health care they need. And then the last one is, how urgent is the need for a referral to a mental health provider? You got to answer those questions honestly. How bad is it? Be prayerful. How bad is it? So I'm certainly hoping tonight that this is going to get conversations started. I'm hoping that I always hope that it liberates you, but I'm hoping that it will really get conversations started for you. Okay, so I'm going to leave about 2 minutes for you guys. Do you have any questions, any closing remarks? Put them in the comments. Yes. Okay, thank you, Tawanda. Girl, you're bad, girl. I tell you, I don't know what I'm going to do with you. I'm going to have to give you a reward. There it is. She put it on there for you. If you want a screenshot, take a screenshot. Now, just excuse my bad hair, okay? Listen, okay? But anyway, yes. Ask the right questions and get the help. Thank you so much, Tawanda. Get the help that you need. No shame, no stigma. So if in fact you are one of those who have not been, privy to one and done kind of healing, one and done kind of deliverance, and you are walking out your journey, remember you're already healed and you're already delivered. But you just have to walk out the process. If that's you, this was for you. This is how you walk out your process. So for some jewelry, Who wants some free jewelry? Anybody out there want some free jewelry tonight? Guys, I really, really do hope that this has been helpful to you tonight. I hope that it's been helpful. All right, so what I want to do, I want to ask a question. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to see who gets the answer right. And it'll be whoever says it first, okay? Whoever shows up on my end. So get ready. Get ready, okay? What is the first step in helping? I gave you this. I said, how are we to help? What's the first thing to do when you want to help? What's the first thing you need to do? Answer that question. What's the first thing? All right, Risa got it. Okay. All right. So Risa got it, okay? All right. Okay, so for pastors, okay? If pastors want to help, okay, and they want to empower and they want to, really be a connection for people, what do they need to do? It was one of these steps. It was in that same category, in ways to help. What do they need to do? Two things. What two things do they need to do? If you want to be able to help, okay, so that other people can not only just look at themselves, but they learn how to help other people, what do we need to do? What the leaders or even ourselves, what do we need to do? Those two things. Draw me nearer. Yes, you got it, Mom. Nearer, blessed Lord, to thy cross. Yes, she got it. But one more thing. What thou hast done, draw me nearer. One more thing. I'm looking for one more thing. Blessed Lord, to thy precious bleeding side. All right, I don't see it yet. Okay, so the other thing was build a bridge. Build a bridge. Not only equip your members, but build a bridge between the natural and the spiritual. Yes, you got it, Mom. You got it. All right. All right, guys. All right, last question. As for the art of caring, give me one, and I'm gonna make it easy for you. Give me one of the ways that you can actively care for someone or for yourself as it relates to mental health and dealing with issues, dealing with problems, dealing with things. How can we actively care for someone or for ourselves? This is part of the art of caring. This was the last thing I did before I did the questions. Just give me one of them. She said, be an active listener. All right, Mom, you got it. All right. What you got? What you got? What else you got? What else you got? All right, so I'm going to read those steps one more time. And you know what? While I'm doing it, I'll type them in here for you real quick. I said I was going to do that, so I'm going to read those. Number one is going to be, let me write that, the art of caring, okay? I'm going to put this in here because you just never know when somebody's going to need it. Number one, be an active listener. Respect confidentiality, yes. Communicate empathy. Y'all got it. You got it. You got it. I love it. Okay. Be an active listener was number one. Elicit essential problems and symptoms. All right. Number three is going to be communicate empathy. Miss Risa got that. And positive regard. Number four, facilitate expression of feelings. So we don't want people walking around stuffing their feelings, right? Okay, respect confidentiality is number five. Number six is going to be collaborate on evaluation and strategizing. And number seven is going to be make referrals when needed. All righty. There you have it. All right, guys. So thank you so very much. I'm hoping that empowers you. Remember, you can always come back and watch the replay. If you missed any of those, you can always come back and watch the replay. I'm not sure what happened, but you guys, I just want you to know, thank you so much for coming on. I do appreciate you. Love you very much. I hope that you were blessed by it. Now, listen, you guys can absolutely go and go to my page. I just released a new catalog today, and it is fabulous, where I have $5 jewelry. You can shop there. I have the individual pictures in the comments. You can comment on those, comments sold on each of those, and shop however you want. If you want to shop my store, it's bit.ly/JumpStart store. That's bit.ly/JumpStart store. Listen, I appreciate you so much. I thank you so much. And I pray that you have a great night. Father, I praise you for these, your people. I ask that you will keep us in your care. Cover us with your blood, Lord. I thank you for just watching over us, Lord, and being a fence all around us. Thank you, Lord God, for being a heart regulator and a mind fixer, Lord, a mind regulator and a heart fixer. I thank you for what you're doing in the lives of these your people. I thank you, Lord God, for how, though we may not see an end, Lord God, you know our end from our beginning. Help us to hold fast to faith. Help us to walk this journey out, this process out. Lord, give us the courage, Lord, to look to the future. Give us the courage to look to the future, knowing that he that hath begun a good work shall perform it until the day of Christ Jesus. God, put us in front of the right people. Connect us with the right resources so that we can get the help that we need, so we continue to empower and build for the kingdom. And with these things we ask and pray in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, y'all. Well, I'm saying good night. I don't know what happened. I think something happened. I don't see anybody, but thank you so much for being on tonight. I absolutely love you, and I appreciate you, and I hope you have a great night.